What do you mean by Kalabala Pravritta Vikara? What is the application of a Kalabala Pravritta Vikara? What is the understanding of Kalaja Vikara as per Vagbhata? This is the topic of discussion of this particular video. Dear ANA community members, like button and spread this particular video to maximum number of true Nidana learners so that we can make a huge movement out of this particular small message. Don't forget to press the bell icon so that the YouTube algorithms will be fetching the right information at the right time for the right purpose. When you speak about the Kalabala Pravritta Vikara, it is the classification of the Vyadhi mentioned under Adi Daivika Vikara by Sushruta. The term Kalabala Pravritta Vikara, we need to know about why Kalabala Pravritta Vikara, the knowledge is essential. First and foremost thing, to know about the influence of Kala or season, the manifestation of the disease. For example, influence of the extreme summer, influence of extreme winter, influence of extreme rain on the health of an individual. So that is the topic of discussion in this particular video. To know about the concept of Janapadotvansa in the causation of the disease, that is Vikrita Kala, the manifestation of the disease, so that we are going to understand by knowing about this particular Kalabala Pratikara. The next aspect, we are going to know about the prognosis of the disease, wherein we can know it about the severity of the symptoms. So suppose if the person is having the mild exposure to dust and is getting the severe symptoms as such, so in the sense the person will be having the severe form of the pathological changes that's happening in the body. So in that way, so to know about the prognosis of the disease, so this particular knowledge of the Kalabala Pravritta Vikara is essential to plan the right management of the disease. When to plan the Ritu Vyapata Chikitsa and when to plan the Daiva Yopashraya Chikitsa, etc. So that can be decided if you are knowing about this particular Kalabala Pravritta Vikara. When you think about the Kalabala Pravritta Vikara, it is having the four main words Kala, Bala, Pravritta, and Vikara. So Vikara, we know that Vikriti Ruchade Vikara. So that is any kind of the disturbances that's happening. So that is considered to be Vikara. Pravritta in the sense wherein the manifested of the disease as such manifestation. Kala Bala in the sense the main cause here is the Kala or the time factor. So that will be considered to be the main cause for the disease manifestation as such. And when you think about the description, कालबल प्रवृत्ता ये शीतोष्ण वात वर्षातप प्रवृत्ति निमित्ताः तेपि द्वैताः व्यापन्नर्थकृताः अव्यापन्नर्थकृताश्च. So here, so the main cause is considered to be the abnormal time factor. That means ati shitata, excessive cold season, ati ushna, excessive hot season, and excessive vata, that is the where extreme wind is present. Varsha, excessive rain. Atapa, excessive broad sunlight or sun rays exposure. So that is considered to be Kalabala Pravritta Vikara, wherein the Grishma Ritu, we are going to have the excessive, the what you say that the hot sun rays. Varsha, excessive rain. Vasanta Ritu, excessive cold. Then Sharad Ritu, excessive, what you say that the Pitta Prakopa, the features that we are going to observe there. In that way, so that is considered to be the description that we need to know about whenever we are speaking about the Kalabala Vikara. They are of two categories, Vyapanna Ritukrita and Avyapanna Ritukrita. In the sense, Vyapanna Ritu in the sense, so wherein the season itself is having the derangement. Whereas Avyapanna Ritukrita in the sense, that is considered to be the normal, what do you say, that the vitiation of the dosha is going to take place. For example, Sharad Ritu, there will be the normal vitiation of the Pitta dosha. In case of the Vasanta Ritu, there will be normal vitiation of Kapha dosha. In case of Varsha Ritu, there will be normal vitiation of Vata dosha. In that way, Avyapanna Ritukrita, so that can be understood. So here the Dalhana says, Kalaha Shitoshna Varsha Lakshana Shadrutukaha. So here the Kala, in the sense we are going to give more stress on the 6 different Rutu: Vasanta, Grishma, Varsha, Sharad, Hemanta and Shishira Rutu. So here that is being mentioned. So Shitoshna Vata Varsha Tapa Prabhati Nimittaha. So main reason is Shita, Ushna, Vata, Varsha, Atapa, etc. So they are going to have an influence on the health of an individual, which are resulting in the different diseases such as Jatyata. So that means the person will be having the stiffness. Daha, in the sense the person will be having the burning sensation. Kampa, so wherein the person will be having excessive, what do you say, the involuntary movements. Tatha Vranajwarascha, wherein the person will be developing the manifestation of the Jvara, which is considered to be due to the occurrence of Vrana. In that way, so that is considered to be the Kalabala Pravritta Vikara as such. So that is being mentioned, Vyapanna Rutukritanam, Purvothritanam, Annapana Aushadhibihi Upacharaha. So wherein Vyapanna Rutukritanam, in the sense, so we are going to give the Purvodhrita Annapana Aushadhi Virupachara. We have discussed elsewhere in the textbook regarding the diet and regimen, etc., as well as the different medications. Based on that, we are going to give the specific treatment for specific diseases. Plus, we are going to give Rutuvyapat Prashamanam Cha. We are going to give the chikitsa related to the different Rutuvyapat. That means the different abnormal lakshana that will be produced during this Rutu. We are going to give the treatment. Daivavapashayam Homadi. Along with that, we have to give the Daivavapashaya chikitsa such as Homa, Bali, etc. etc. And Avyapannartukritanam Yatha Dosham Yatha Rogam Eva Upacharah. Wherein Avyapannartukrita, in the sense where the Rutu Vyapat is absent, then we have to give the treatment for Yatha Dosham Yatha Rogam Eva Upacharah. We have to give the treatment depending upon the dosha visheshan, and we have to give the treatment depending upon the diseases as such. So that is being mentioned. The Chakrapani says, Avyapannartukritaha Kala Swabhava Krita Pittadi Chayani Kritaha. So that is the depending upon the Kala Swabhava. So that, as we have discussed earlier, it is being mentioned. Chaya Prakopa Prashama Vayu Grishmadishu Trishu Varshadishu Pittasya Sheshmana Shiradishu. Vagbhata says, where there will be the natural vitiation of Vata dosha takes place during Varsha Ritu, natural vitiation of Pitta dosha may take place during Sharad Ritu, natural vitiation of Kapha dosha may take place during Vasanta Ritu. So we have to give the treatment accordingly. Two types that is being mentioned, as I have discussed earlier, Vyapanna Ritukrita and Avyapana Ritukrita. Whereas the Vagbhata says, Kalaja Vikara, Kalajaha Shitadikrita Jvaradayo Vyapannaja Asamrakshanajaschа. So here, the Kalaja Vikara are those which are manifested in an individual because of the exposure to Shita, Ushna, Varsha, etc. etc. They are of two categories. Vyapannajaha Asamrakshanajaschа. Vyapannaja, in the sense where the diseases they are going to get manifested in an individual because of the consumption of the food substances, for example, shani, etc., which are being grown in the Vyapanna Ritu as such. Whereas Asamrakshanaja, in the sense, the Shitadibhyo Arakshitasya Tadupaghata. So the diseases they are going to get manifested in an individual because of the exposure to Ati Shitata, because of the exposure to Ati Ushnata, because of the exposure to Ati Varsha, etc. So that is being mentioned there. So here the description is told, that is the Kalaja Vikara, they are of two categories, Vyapannaja and Asamrakshanaja. Regarding the application of that, whenever if we think about the Shita exposure, so we are going to see what kind of the part of the body is having the exposure to this particular Shitata. There may be a possibility the oral cavity may be at exposure, nasal cavity, that means nostrils are exposure, having the exposure to this particular cold season, eyes are being exposed to the cold season, then ears are being exposed to the cold season, skin that will be exposed to this cold season. Depending upon that, the person will be having the development of the symptoms. For example, the person is having exposure of cold via nostrils. That means there will be the excessive dryness of the nasal mucosa that may happen, and exposure to eyes to this particular cold season. The person will be having the irritation to the eyes, or dry eye syndrome may be present in that way. And the extent of the exposure to cold air, how far he is exposed, is it for 30 seconds? That symptoms may be vary. If it is for 2 minutes, symptoms may vary. If it is for 30 minutes, symptoms may vary. If it is for 3 or 4 hours, then symptoms may vary depending upon that. In this way, the Shita exposure to the body may have an influence on the symptom manifestations. Ati Ushna exposure. For example, how far the Ushna Virya substances or the Ushna Guna substances that will be having an exposure to the human body. For example, the person is going to consume the gobi Manchurian frequently, definitely, which is consisting of Ushna Virya substances, and that will be having an exposure specifically to the Mahasrotas. Maybe the Pranavahasrotas or Annavahasrotas or Purishavahasrotas. If the person is going to have the consumption of gobi Manchurian once in every 15 days as such, probably we may have an exposure to Pranavahasrotas affliction there. Or if the person is having the consumption of this gobi Manchurian once in four times a day as such, then probably there may be a possibility of the Annavahasrotas as well as Purishavahasrotas affliction may be observed there. Then impact of these particular substances on different parts of the body. What will be the impact of these particular substances on the alimentary canal? What will be the impact of these substances on the respiratory system? What will be the impact of these substances on the integumentary system? What will be the impact of these substances on the, what do you say, that the other nostrils or the etc. etc. We are going to learn these if you are having an adequate knowledge of this on the impact on the human body as such. Then comes the Ati Varsha exposure. Regarding the what are the different pores? That means, for example, exposure of the pores to the human body. Specifically, when you think about the pores, so the nostrils, they are going to have the affliction as such. So that means the persons, they will be having the respiratory infection, they are common. What will be the impact of this particular rainwater on the skin, on the scalp, etc. So that will be deciding the health status of an individual. What will be the exposure of this particular water on the food? There may be a possibility of skin infection that may be there. Then the excessive rain. So there will be the mosquito breeding that may take place. In the sense, the person will be having the diseases which are or infections which are being caused by the breeding of these particular mosquitoes. In that way, so the health of an individual may have an impact on this particular abnormal rainy season there. Then coming to the Atapa exposure. Extent of exposure to the sun rays. So that means if it is of 2 minutes, different type of the manifestation. If it is of 15 minutes, different types of the clinical manifestation may be there. If it is of 2 hours as such, different types of the exposure as such. If the person is having the exposure of the broad sunlight in the month of May for more than 3 hours as such, there may be a possibility of hypovolemia or electrolyte imbalance may be possible. And certain the occupations, for example, coolie worker as such, they will be having an exposure of this particular broad sunlight in the month of the May as such. They will be working for more than the 4 or 5 or more than that, 6 hours or 10 hours, in that situation, the impact of this on the human body will be different. So like that, regarding the Vyapanna Ritukrita in the sense, what kind of the activities a person are going to do. For example, in case of the rainy season, so they are going to do the activities by taking the, what is it, either a raincoat or by keeping the, what is it, that the umbrella, etc. So the people who are doing the activities such as the flowing the field, etc., then this will be having in the rainy season, that will be having the more impact on the health of an individual rather than the people who are doing the, what do you say, that the studying, specifically going to school during that particular rainy season. They are going to wear only the raincoat, and the impact of exposure of this particular rain will be comparatively lesser in case of the students who are going to study in the schools, etc., than the individuals who are working in the field. So here another example, that is the wearing the sweaters in extreme cold season. In the sense, what there may be the possibility that the people, they are going to cover almost all parts of the body in case of extreme cold season. There are situations where the persons may not cover all parts of the, for example, the eyes that may not be covered. In that particular situation, extreme cold may have an impact on the eyes, such as dry eye syndrome may be possible. Or if the person is having the consumption of cold water, specifically during the cold season, in the month of January as such, naturally, so that will be having an impact on the production of the sputum in the respiratory system, and that will not be eliminated easily. In this way, the Vyapanna Ritukrita and Avyapanna Ritukrita can be understood. Another understanding, that is the regarding the Avyapanna Ritukrita Vikara. So that is actually mainly related to the this person specific Nidana. For example, if the person is going to consume the food, regarding the, what do you say, that the laddu, as such, how much laddu he has taken. One laddu may have a different dosha prakopa, 3 laddu, different dosha prakopa, 5 laddu, different dosha prakopa. One morsel of the curd rice, what we can say the nivala, the kapha dosha prakopa may be different. 3 morsels of curd rice, kapha dosha prakopa may be different. 5 morsels of curd rice, different the degree of kapha dosha visheshan to the maximum extent when you compare the 1 morsel or 3 morsel. Then plus, if what kind of the activities the person is doing while consuming the food. For example, watching the movie. So that means he will not be having the impact on the, what do you say, that the mind on the consumption of the food itself. So that means that may have an impact on the abnormal health status. For example, if the person is going to have the entry of the particular substances into the respiratory passage, naturally, so that will be having the cough, sputum, etc., or sneezing, etc., or hiccups may be possible in that way, wherein they are speaking along with the friends, etc. So that will be having an impact on this kind of the clinical symptoms may be possible. Or if the person is concentrating on the food, naturally he will be having the proper chewing of the food, etc. So that may be possible. One more example, that is the water consumption. While consuming the food, most of the individuals are not concentrating on consuming the water. Frequent consumption of water, so that will be leading to the proper distribution of the consumed food in the stomach. Thereby, the proper mixing of these particular food substances along with the digestive juices may be possible. If the person is taking more amount of the water, that will be leading to dilution of the hydrochloric acid, etc., or dilution of the, what we can say, the Jఠragni may be possible. Thereby, the person may have impaired digestion. To sum up, Kalabala Pravritta Vikara are those which are manifested in the individuals, or the diseases which are manifested in an individual due to the cause as the abnormal time factor. कालबल प्रवृत्ताः ये शीतोष्णवात वर्षात प्रवृत्ति निमित्ताः तेऽपि द्विविधाः व्यापन्न ऋतुकृताः अव्यापन्न ऋतुकृताश्च सुश्रुता कालजाः शीतादिकृताः ज्वरादयो व्यापन्नजा असंरक्षणजाश्च as per Ashtanga Sangraha. And when you think about the overall understanding, Kalabala Pravritta Vikara are those spectrum of the diseases which are having the influence of the season or the time factor of an individual. Dear ANA community, that's all for today. What are the major key takeaways from today's discussion? Mention in the comment box below. What is the one video that you'd like to hear in the coming days in this particular channel? Mention in the comment box below, and spread this particular video to maximum number of true Nidana learners so that we can make a huge movement out of this particular small message. Don't forget to press the bell icon so that the YouTube algorithms will be pushing me the right information at the right time for the right purpose. That's all for today. Something more in the next video. Thank you.